passed. And I remember for a few years I learned in Yeshiva University, and there was one of the Choshev Rosh Yeshivas from Europe, Rav Lifshitz. He used to go around to all the tables and I showed
the brother-in-law of Rav Darrell.
which
Why?
could be. I don't know.
You learned why you?
Yeah. So
Why not?
So there was a Choshev Rosh Yeshiva. It was very, very hard. Rav Lifshitz. So Zechron Lavrocha. So he used to have I learned it for 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah. So Rav Lifshitz used to go around the first of Adar, and he used to give out these papers. I should bring a copy of the paper. B'shenichnas Adar marbim b'simcha. V'ein simcha ela Torah. So we have to be moisef and learning Torah, and we're going to have simcha. Okay. So, but when Torah itself, we have to try to add in simcha to get things within learning Torah. Anyway, last week I meant we didn't have time to cover a shaila. And in the meantime, someone asked me a shaila related to that this week, a very choshev person. So let me talk about what was the shaila that I mentioned last week, and then we'll talk about the shaila of this. So last week I was discussing what's the bracha on a pineapple. So and this week someone asked me, he a very choshev talmid chacham. He has in his backyard chili pepper. So he's not concerned about the bracha. You can make shahakol, you can make a doma. That's not his problem. Problem is he wants to know if it's kosher to eat. What's the problem? If it's a tree, you have to wait 3 years of orla. You can't eat it the first 3 years.
Right.
Now, if you go to the grocery store, the din is safek orla b'chutz la'aretz muter. When in Eretz Yisrael, if you have a doubt, you have to do without.
It's not a tree, no? Paper is not a tree.
Oh, so that's his question. Oh, these chili peppers grow for more than grow for a few years. They give chili pepper year 1, year 2, year 3. Thing is, he is living in a very warm climate. He's here from Melbourne, and he's showing me in a video we could see today. He's showing me in his backyard in Melbourne that he has chili pepper.
Yeah, but they give only once and then.
No.
That's the different type.
Oh, there's a lot of types. I did. There is in Israel. There is a Machon Lecheker HaChaklaut Al Pi Torah. They have a journal, Halichot Sadeh, volume 106.
Yeah, but that's not a tree. That's not a tree.
It's a question. It's a question. He's asking me. He's asking me a question. He's asking me a question. Since this is growing for several years already, it first didn't dawn on him. To Rabbi Ozer. Good morning. Shkoyach for joining us. He just came on time, just on time. So I'll recap the question. So this gentleman, this choshev talmid chacham who has in his backyard growing things, and he grows chili pepper. First he thought, he realized it's growing year after year. So if it's a tree, then you're not allowed to eat the first 3 years. You know, like we have a minig in the Kollel Yisrael that the baby is born for the first 3 years, a little boy, we don't cut the hair.
Yeah, right.
What's the source of the minig? So the minig is to connect it to orla, just like a tree. We don't eat the fruit for 3 years. The same thing here is that we wait 3 years before we give a haircut. Obviously, the real thing about it is because when a kid is 3, he starts having a little bit more of understanding. So we cut his ears and we give him payas, so he learns the mitzvah payas. We put on tzitzis, we put on a yarmulke, we start making brachas with him because under 3, kid really, a kid till 3 years old is nursing from his mommy, and that's the so chinuch starts at them. But it goes back to the mitzvah of orla. So the person asked, could he eat the chili pepper? So that was his question. Is he allowed to eat the chili pepper? Now, let me again clarify. If you go to the grocery store, it makes no difference because we live in chutz la'aretz, and the din is safek orla b'chutz la'aretz muter. That if it's a doubt, and chutz la'aretz it's muter. Now, in a very egregious case, that so no, the din is that the bottom line is that the Eretz Yisrael safek orla is, and the chutz la'aretz only vaday orla is also varla orla, but if it's safek orla, it's muter. In Min HaTorah? Only Eretz Yisrael. but still, you're not allowed. If you have in your yard, you're not allowed
No,
to.
if you're having your yard in the, like. In the
Right,
back of your
Right, but if
house,
you go in the grocery store,
but
it's
you go
mutter.
to the field like Minnesota, they grow up terrace and stuff like
Mutter,
that.
it's mutter. It's all mutter. Okay. So these are the two questions that we're dealing with right now. So we'll do one shaila at a time, but they're really very, very connected. I mean, the more the person shaila was not so much what's the bracha. The person shaila was if he's allowed to eat it. But Beinu Beini, I actually had a little bit that shaila when I moved into my house 16 years ago here in East 16. On the backyard there was vines that were growing grapes. So the kids asked, "Do we have to wait the years of Arla in order to eat?" Now it turns out when we tasted those grapes, they were not so.
Wild grapes.
Right, but this was all farmland. This was all farmland 100 years ago.
Yeah.
This is all farmland.
You find houses here from a doctor how would they go for years, right? In East 19, East 19 and Avenue K.
Yeah.
Okay, you want a lot of money, but okay, that house is big. It's been built 110 years ago. It was a German doctor that he was down there. Yeah, and he's been sold for 2.5. I thought about that house for me, but I told you about it, that house.
Okay, let's read inside. Similar days of what's a simon to know the difference between what's a fruit of a eitz, what's the fruit of a adama? If it's little bushes, if it's a big tree, you could see it with your eyes, but little bushes, yeshamim shekol eitz, eitz a peidos mishan l'shana afim b'chayd of kol eitz shalom al makarka. That every tree that gives you fruit year to year, even if in the winter. Every part of the tree, the part in the karka, withers away. It's only thing that's left is the roots in the ground. It grows back next year. Everything doesn't matter. This is a tree. It's a perennial. If you don't have to replant it every year, that's a tree. Second opinion argues. They say because the whole ikir withers in the winter, it's called a priyadama. The third opinion is shafilu ikir kayim kol that even if the trunk stays the whole winter, but the branches fall off, and they're going to grow again, and in the summer and they give again, all on the paydas. Okay, so let's summarize. Cap. 3 opinions. One says that as long as the roots are staying there from year to year, that's called a tree. Second one says not enough to have roots. You have to have the trunk staying from year to year. Third opinion says trunk is not enough. You need to have also the branches that will stay from year to year. These are the 3 opinions. We learned about it in the summer. And let's conclude. If we don't, we choshesh for the third opinion, that if you don't have the tree and the trunk and the branches lasting from year to year, the fruits is adama. But if he rarely made better creates. So as long as this tree you don't have to replant every year, he's yaitza. So we see the Alter Rebbe takes all 3 opinions in account. The Chatchila don't make a better creates unless the tree lasts, the roots, the trunk, the branches. But the Avad, if you already made a better creates, even if only the roots will last from year to year, that's good enough. Okay. Then the Alter Rebbe continues another thing. Aval mine yetzer rakin, but these little soft plants, shaolam vaperis yotzer meiker, that that's lochas. Thank you for your. These soft trees that everything is coming out of the ikir. Ein an ikir ilan klal divrei hakol. That's not a tree. Linyan beide priyates. Could go on tusam shekarim then a malinas. like these things are called malinas. The books of brachas today translate the malinas is raspberries. I'm not sure they're correct, but the truth is, if you ever went, did anyone here ever go raspberry picking?
Yes, I did, but I forgot.
So raspberry, I think it's like a soft little branch, and it's like a finger, and then the raspberry is like this, and then you pull it off.
Yeah.
You pull it off. That's why when you have a raspberry, you see there's a hole in it. The hole is where it was growing on the
You
ikir.
mean one raspberry on a branch?
Yeah,
It's very labor intensive.
yeah. Picking raspberries is probably more labor intensive than strawberries and blueberries, and those are also quite labor intensive. They're all quite labor intensive actually. Okay. Okay. Here, yo. You didn't miss that much because we did chazor on a sugya that we did, but now we're getting into the shaila that we're actually talking about. The shaila we're talking about now is that there's a yid that met me this week. I was going to talk about the pineapple because I missed it last week. But the question is, he has in his backyard chili pepper, and he's not interested. He doesn't care the bracha. He'll make shahakal if he needs to. He'll make adama. His shaila is orla. The chili peppers grow for year 1, 2, 3, 4. He's worried. Is it a din orla? Doesn't have a din orla. So this is what we're dealing with. And then we anyway spoke. As I said, I'm going to talk this week about the pineapple. So we're going through it. Okay. So look at the third paragraph. He writes in the Piskei Chuvas, anytime you have the roots in the ground, it's unequivocal on Priyadama. If you don't have to replant, this is a perennial, you don't have to replant it every year, that's not good enough. It's Adama. Usually the Piskei Chuvah is a very choshev sefer. As a younger man, Harav Rabinovich from Shuafat, Ramat Shloima. His sefer is like taken off like wildfire. It's the new Mishnah Bruder today. Very, very is a choshev younger man. But I don't know how he would write such a thing. It's true the Shulchan Aruch brings only the middle shit of the 3 shittas, but it's not clear. You could read the Shulchan Aruch in many ways. Why? Because But the bottom line is the Alter Rebbe is one of the very important poskim when it comes to Birchas Hananim that wrote about it. He wrote and rewrote 3 times. So he had a very strong opinion about Birchas Hananim. The only other Rishon we find that Ritva wrote is...
He wrote 3 times. He published it 3 different versions?
Yep, till he published his final version. It's similar to the Ritva wrote his Chedushim on Masachas Brachas, and then he wrote a Sefer Birchas Hananim on Brachas. So the one Rishon and one Achilan that we have that did such a thing, they wrote. I mean, today we have a lot of brachas book. You go into Eichelas and you're going to find, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You could wash. These bagels are just out of the oven. It's Sudas Mitzvah. You're learning Torah with the the Sudas Mitzvah.
And we're learning the Simcha.
Yeah. There. Okay. I gave you a paper, so we're the 4th paragraph. So again, he writes that the middle opinion is the opinion, but as I said, the Alter Rebbe is a very important posek in Bichsan, and he says not true that there's 3 opinions. The first opinion is the Rosh, the second opinion is the Goinim, third opinion is the Ritva, and the Alter Rebbe doesn't think that you could push anyone aside. So I don't know why he would say that stimas hapoiskim afilu b'di'eved in beirech priya eitz amin kazel lo yotza. It would be bracha levatol according to the Alter Rebbe. I'm baffled. Anyway, Mamshech, he writes weiter. This is paragraph number 5 here. If there is roots that a little bit stay outside the ground, and again that gives off fruit, this is also better priyadama. But over here, but the evidence better it's yotza. But the evidence made it's yotza. Machlal sug ze upri ananas, pineapple, banana, tut sadeh, tut yan, strawberries, raspberries, and sumsum. Okay. So he's wrong on both things. Like so let's talk with the let's talk about one thing at a time. I'll go. Let's talk about the banana for a second. I was Ashgacha Pratis Friday. I bumped into a very choshev Talmid Chacham. He wrote a sefer on brachas, a brachas book, very very popular brachas book, and he wrote about bananas. He wrote a footnote that's a suffix. So I told him, Rabbi. So I said, if there's been, I was just in Eretz Yisrael about 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, and I saw in the north that there is farms and farms of bananas. Farms and driving up, driving basically, driving up to Rishon, exactly. On us off bananas.
Jewish ones or Arab?
Jewish farms. It's all Jewish farms. So I said, so you're telling me that you would not eat those bananas? He says, why? So I said, because most bananas, that it's kemat 99% that because we know that the farmers cut off those trees before it gets to year 4 because they don't want to bother. The bananas, after 3 years, the bananas are a big headache, and the farmers don't want to deal. They don't taste that good. They're very finicky. Yeah.
The banana, the way it's scale up in front of this, okay? They put the steel, the steel go up, they keep careful, they look everything. And then when you give the tree, the banana, give the tree this, okay? The core of banana. Then it's coming up. Okay, that steel giving another steel. And then that's mean start another steel. That steel come out from the old steel. Okay, so then when they cut the banana from the old steel, they got also the steel, the tree from the banana leaves. So that's why it's very banana, because it doesn't have any wood, anything that's between the sides.
I understand. I'm with you. I also think a banana is a dominant, but they're very large. But
They grow that fast in 3 years?
they grow pretty fast. Yeah. They shoot up pretty fast. But what I asked him is, if you think that there is a suffix about banana, so you understand that any banana or banana chips that are coming to America from Israel, even if it has Hashav Eidah Cheredis, you can't eat it. It's Arlo. So he says, now, how could you learn Arlo to bracha? First of all, I said, we find that the Gemara itself in the beginning learns Arlo from bracha. Second of all, this is the other way of thinking. Arlo in Eretz Yisrael is a Issa Derais. So if you're in your mind, think 1 in 1,000. And I understand, but he wrote in his book that banana. He wrote it's a suffix. He wrote it's in his book. It's suffix. So I told him, if it's true, then your mind that it's a doubt that a banana is maybe hadama and maybe oetz. So you can't eat bananas from Eretz Yisrael. So he was arguing with me, but I'm just saying it's not arguable. You can't argue about this. If you think that there's 1 in 1,000 in your mind that this thing is really is really might be oetz, and they're growing in Eretz Yisrael, and for 100% or even 50% in your mind that maybe it was grown in the first 3 years, and that's the fact that farmers will not leave those trees in the thing more than. By the way, I just jumped to another. It's all within this, and this was a shayla actually someone once asked me. But whenever I go to Eretz Yisrael, I take my children to Kfar Chabad. Right? There is we have a relative that his business is he plants esrogim. So he one of the things he showed us that he has the esrogim. The trees don't give good esrogim forever. I mean, they could grow for many years, but these are not marketable esrogim. When you sell on the market, the person he wants a nice giddle, doesn't want any spots.
What's he growing it for?
What is he growing to sell them? He doesn't want to grow them, and if you're not going to buy it, why is he going to grow the tree?
After a few years, it's not marketable.
Yes,
the first few years,
right. But the thing is, he can't sell you all the fruit either, right?
The first 4 years.
First 3 years. So what does he do? So in Eretz Yisrael, they have to work with Arla. It's a serious thing. So he has in his nursery, he makes sure that the trees stay with the sand. He had when I was there that time. The Mashgiach of the Eidah Cheredis was there. He does a hechsher from the Eidah Cheredis. So Mashgiach was there. And the mashgiach was like shaking his head, like he enjoying that the kids were like learning about this. That he keeps the little shatil in his nursery with the sand, so it's touching the ground. And later when he puts it into the field, he keeps it with the sand. So this way, it's already a year and a half into the. By the time it goes, so the tree thinks it's a brand new tree. But we know Api Aloch, it's already a 2-year-old tree. So one more year, okay, that those go in the pit, and the next year already the Sregim is good. I'm just saying that they work. Someone once asked me a shaila. He bought a lemon tree, and the roots were clean. The roots were clean, and there was no sand. And then he brought it home and he planted it in the pot. And I told him he has a big problem now because he can't eat those lemons for 3 years. It's very nice. It was a decoration in his house, but he was thinking he can eat those lemons. So back to. I want to go back now to pineapple. Pineapple goes like this. Most of pineapples come from very warm places that can't be too hot. It has to be a constant between 65 and 95 degree. You get chamsa, they die. You get cold, they die.
Chamsin.
I'm sorry.
Chamsa.
Chamsa is this. I'm sorry.
This girl is his parents didn't.
Oh yeah?
That's what he come from. Tennessee, that's what they were.
Interesting. So I'll give you a short tutorial that I got from the Dole company, who is selling pineapples all over the world. Huh?
It's non-GMO though. I don't know what they do with that tree.
It's interesting that you're asking. One of the things I want to discuss today is about GMO. I want to discuss a lot about this. I don't have an answer, but I have a question, and I'll explain my question in a second. But I just want to go through quickly how it works. So a pineapple plant grows. So the pineapple plant grows, and there is a lot of shoots. It looks very nice. It's very tropical. It's like, just a couple of inches off the ground. There's shoots from ala zayten, green, nice, leafy shoots. And one of the middle ones start growing the pineapple. What the pineapple really is a few thousand flowers that are fused together. In the beginning, they're beautiful flowers and they're separate flowers. And then they get fused be'achtus. The mamish, it's like a fruit that's achtus. They get fused together, and then you see on the side what's left over from the separate flowers. That's what a pineapple is. Now, after it finishes growing, they cut the pineapple. Okay, so now if theoretically they would have left it there, what would happen now? There's 25 shoots or 30 shoots. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the shoots are going to become mothers. The other ones are called shoots, and the one that's growing the fruit is called a mother. Problem is, now that you have 7 mothers and they're competing for the same resources of water and nutrients, so you're going to get your next crop. You're going to get 7 pineapples that are small and not sweet. So what do the farmers do? It's very labor intensive. You think you buy a dole, your pineapple. It's interesting. Any one of the fruits, it's the animal rights are screaming about the caporas and everything. If your kids will never see what it means to shech the chicken, they throw a half a chicken in the garbage. The kids go once the caporas, they know that we have to be maila every stick of chicken. They have to be eaten l'kobet Shabbos. They have to be eaten in order to have koyach to learn Torah. Stam they throw a half a chicken in the garbage. Chas v'shalom. What is the chicken going to say? When you take the kids out sometimes to pick fruits or to see, they see strawberries. Labor intensive it is for the people that are picking strawberries. Make a bracha with kavana. You should know. Some Mexican guy got 50 cents an hour and broke his back to pick macha bracha. Let him shtickle the Gemara with this energy. They do something. The pineapples is labor intensive. They cut the pineapple, and then they cut, and they have mumchim that they look from 25 shoots. They'll cut they cut all of them, and they pick up. They have like a little thing and they measure what's the right size. They quickly determine which are the shoots that are good candidates to grow new ones. Then they're going to take a plow and they're going to turn over the whole field. They already have another field that went through all the chodesh, the whole thing, and then they bring this truck with thousands of shoots, and one by one they get planted in the ground, one by one. They're picked. Yeah, probably, yeah.
So
They-
they have to pull it out, then put the earth back on it?
Yeah, and then the old field comes, the tractor comes, and they rip everything out, and never cycle that way. So, okay. So now, if you go with Siman Aleph, so like this, to say that the tree and the anofim and everything lasts from year to year, it's hard to say. To say even the ikar lasts from year to year, that mother is never going to give fruits again, but the plant would give fruits again. It's hard to. On the other hand, if you hold that you have to be choshesh for the rosh is as long as you don't have to replant it every year. So you could say, look, theoretically you don't have to replant it every year. The farmers replant it, so it's a little bit of a. But I think the pineapple is like this.
It's a real eights.
Oh, that's the thing. From the pictures, and I brought the pictures last week, and I don't. If you look at videos and pictures, it looks, and I have to really go. The problem is that there's around New York, at Mitzvah when I'll be around a tropical place, I'm not they're going to go to a field that has pineapples to touch it. I have to touch it with my hand to see. Is it, to me, from the pictures, it looks like it's growing on Iker Horach. It grows directly on the Iker, like there's no branches. The mother is like this, and it looks like a very soft mother. Definitely, you're never going to make furniture from that mother. You're never going to take that mother and peel make furniture from it. Even though you're going to tell me grapes grow on a vine, but the vine and the bottom are quite woody.
Sure.
You know, you could later atzek fanim you could chop up and you could put in your fireplace.
They make
They make wood.
The carrots,
The up ones not, but the lower ones they can make. They make.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are.
Yeah.
But the pineapple from the pictures, they're ikerarach. They're very soft. Think about it. They're flowers essentially. They're flowers. So they're flowers. They're like and they're growing off the mother. It looks like a ikerarach. Therefore, it's unequivocally beide pri adama. I would say it's the opposite of what he said.
Right.
If he made a cha'etz lo yotza,
Right.
the opposite of what he said. Okay. Now let's go to chili pepper. So I did a little bit of work. I don't have to do much work. Click on the Oitzer HaChochma. Everything is done. I found that there is a Machon Lecheker Chaklaut HaPitoira called Halicha Soda, volume 106. So they have a 30-page article. They bedikat koisher hisardut zanei pilpul b'maver achorev tovshin unvav tovshin unzayin. They went to several places in Israel and Shalavim and other two places, and they had a thing, and they had and they tested like 17 different varieties of pilpul, and they came up with a whole chart. Like there was a few of them that actually lasted through the winter.
I hope they're not more coming.
I don't know. This was done by scientists, by the way.
Yeah,
It's really winter or?
it's more cutting. That's how they love to hear. It's not more
No.
cutting,
They tried. These guys. They and they made a whole chart. Some of them actually lasted through the winter. Some of them actually lasted through the winter.
It was a
And-
mild winter.
and-
I think it was generally dozens or.
So they said it was a regular winter in Israel, and some of them actually lasted through the winter. But the next year, even those that did last, some of them gave fruits and some did, but some did.
It's
Okay.
Brazil.
Okay, it's not simple.
Yeah.
They didn't have like a clear thing at the end. So let me explain to you so at the end they have two scientists that wrote the three people, Moshe Zak, Shlomo Cohen, Yonit Hava.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know
they
if they are so
the
good.
Talmud Chochem here is Dr. Moshe Zak. So he writes like this. After the whole, so it's 10 pages. This one. Bottom line is they thought that, oh yeah, they're all not going to last through the winter, but they did last through the winter, and some of them actually gave fruits the next winter that was the same quality as the year before. So now they were like wondering, so what's the din? Again, in Israel, they're not so concerned about the bracha. Anything that grows on the tree or on the ground, you can make adoma. They're concerned if this is orla or not orla. So If it's our law, then you can't grow it in Israel. Essentially, you just have to bring it from Chul because what are you going to do? You get it by the time you get or you've developed some tricks. Like my cousin developed some tricks with a sroigim to the nursery, and they're very small by the time. Okay, anyway, this is the question that they had. So Dr. Moshe Zaks brings like this. He brings a Chazon Ish. And this is a Chazon Ish that I once brought up in a shir here. And the Chazon Ish was a little queasy about it, but he had no choice. They came to Eretz Yisrael, and they had now an Orla issue on their hand. So a lot of things that they don't grow more than 3 years. So so what are you going to do? They want to have bananas. They want to eat. There's all kinds of things. And they're all in that Tarevoi. So what are you going to do? The best thing in Israel is to make everything a Pri Adama. That's the best thing, to make it a Pri Adama. But you might have a little chumrah from that because trees you're allowed to grow in a garden. Don't worry, no one's growing it. No one cares about that. You know what I mean? It's a chumrah for here and it's a kula for there, but that no one cares. They want to eat bananas. They want to put bananas on the table to tzeret haaretz. And if you're going to tell me that there's one in a thousand that this is maybe a tree, you need to wait 3 years for Orla. What are you going to do? So you're trying to make everything that grows in Israel a boire pri Adama, as much as you could. An apple, emalasot. It's a eitz. Grapes, you can't make it. You can't make grapes. You can't do anything. A tomar, it's growing 25 feet. You can't.
No.
But everything else, you're trying as much as possible. And מה זה נותן? איזה פרט הם נותנים?
It's small.
And what is it giving? So I wanted to, so it's a good thing you bring up. I want to talk about this in a second.
זה שיח מיוחד, זן מיוחד. זה בקיבוץ עליית טבריה.
תמרים?
תמרים ודאי. שם על יד כל יעקב, קיבוץ כל יעקב, בין מנחמיה לטבריה, לבית שאן. 3 קיבוצים. ושם זה המקום, נותנים תמרים, אבל זה על שיחים, לא תמרי יריחו שהם על דקלים, כן? שיחים כאלה. והוא נותן תמרים, קולותיה ענבים. מה זה תמרים? תמרים של דבש.
The sweet, the delicious?
של דבש.
Yeah?
של דבש. קוראים להם תמרים של דבש. כן? וזה דבר מיוחד במינו. זה רק הארץ מייצרת את זה, ומרוקו מייצרת.
Okay. So now I'm going to have to look into that. See, well, like, do they have a hechsher from any, do they have a hechsher?
Yeah, נמכרים, זה מפוקח על ידי עורלה, מפוקח על הכל, כי זה עץ שאפשר, אפילו שזה שיח קטן, כן? אפשר לסכך בו.
אם תעשה לי טובה, תביא לי דף אחד מה השם של זה, אז זה יקל עליי לעשות את ה-research.
So just to be clear, like if the quality after the next year is lower, it's not.
Oh, this is exactly what I want to talk about. So the Chazon Ish came up with a formula like this. He was, like I said, he was a little uncomfortable about this at first. He writes that he's a little uncomfortable because it's not a Mefedish Gemara, but Lamaisa, that's what he decided at the end. This goes back to the discussion about Chatzalim that I mentioned, brought in the summer from the Ben Ish Chai, from the Radvaz, that they said that they saw Befedish that the Arizal ate Chatzalim and the Beis Yosef ate Chatzalim, and they said Eidus that the Alshich ate Chatzalim.
Was that chili peppers?
No, Chatzalim is eggplant.
אז the only מאכל that the Arabs they had, בטלג'ן.
Oh, does say that word again? Can.
Baklajan, that's what.
Say it again. Babinjan. So, Chatzalim. They ate Chatzalim. They ate Chatzalim.
That's where
it's Arab word. Right.
They make it delicious.
Yeah. So they said Eidus that they saw Befedish that Arizal used to go on Friday and buy Chatzalim, and the Beis Yosef too. So, like we have here our own Rabbi Yankel, who sagt Eidus about certain things that the Rebbetzin buys. It was like interesting. He has about certainly doing them for Pesach, and then he said the favorite 2 things she liked to buy was celery that the Rebbe used to eat celery and pineapple. No, all throughout the year. Celery and pineapple, she was always buying celery and pineapple. No, celery, ask him, there's a whole cheshbon for it. Celery is because the Chabad Rebbeim used to put a lot of salt on their food. That shouldn't be a time of the achila. After the Rebbe had a heart attack, the doctor said that he can't keep on doing it, but they said he'll also have a withdrawal because his whole life he used to put like this on his food. So they said that he has to eat that celery has a lot of sodium, but it's healthy. So Taka, from then on, the Rebbe ate a lot of celery. I just think it's funny because the other day we're talking about someone was here and we're talking about the Sat Meruv. Also tzaddikim zechronim levracha, and he ate a lot of papaya. Also, it's all eating pashat l'shem shemayim. He ate papaya because he was very makpid naguf naki. Unbelievable. It's just funny. I just find it amusing to find out what tzaddik Ellen.
Papaya is cleaning your stomach.
Yeah. So back to Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish said like this: if something doesn't give fruits more than 3 years, then it's not orla. Especially if the fruits are poiches v'hoilech. Year 1 it's giving good fruits, year 2 worse, and year 3 worse. But then he added as a snif bi'alma. His main thing he writes is that Ilona Sarakas is the Chazon Ish din orla simalamet ches.
Papaya. Ilana Tarakas like papaya.
She'enim eskayim Yosef. I gave already a share about papayas. I don't want to go back to it. My conclusion was that papayas aids. Ilona Sarakas she'enim eskayim Yosef megimel shonim. Ela misyapshim v'kolim ben shasherish kaim v'choyz matzmichim ben shasherish gamkin kol v'choyz v'choyz. He says nira ladina kol shagana megadol pi b'shon rishon v'gam agez enim eskayim Yosef mishol shonim ein ben mishum orlo. Okay, so now they said like this. So they were asking several questions about this. Like, what would the Chazon Ish say if you could, if in this country it doesn't grow more than 3 years, but in another country that's more tropical, it would grow more than 3 years. And what if you grew it in a chamama, in a hothouse, and it could last for 10 years? What would the Chazon Ish say then? And what if you genetically modified the crop that it should dafke last more than the time, or dafke last less than the time? What would the Chazon Ish say then? And
you're playing God. You can't play God. My Chazon.
Okay. Asking a question. I think it's a very valid question to ask. I think these are all valid questions to ask.
It's just like we have what do you do today with the behemoth that the teacher now he could fix, and we look on it like she died.
Right. Okay.
So same thing.
Okay. Listen, this is the question they asked. These are the questions they asked. So now I want to go back like this. I listen. Whatever they do in Eretz Yisrael, they do in Eretz Yisrael, and that's the Chazon Ish is more out of the Yisrael. But
those days they have even heter material. Those days.
Okay, but could be that's something else. We're talking about lands that belong to Jews.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know if it helps. I don't know Lagabi Orla if it helps. I don't know. Lagabi Shvit, but I don't know if it helps Lagabi Orla. Okay, so now if you look in the Alter Rebbe, like I mentioned this in the past, the Alter Rebbe doesn't bring this simon. He probably doesn't hold of the simon. If he held of it, he would say it. Furthermore, if you look at the Alter Rebbe takes the Rosh very seriously. The Alter Rebbe says that the Rosh says if you don't have to replant it and it lasts from year to year, then that's called a tree. Now, obviously, the Rosh doesn't hold of the simon of the Chazon Ish. The Rosh says that if you don't have to replant it and it lasts from year to year, it doesn't say from year to 3 years. So befeidish Rosh. So the only way, so the Chazon Ish is not responsible for the Rosh, because the Chazon Ish could learn that the Shulchan Aruch doesn't hold of the Rosh, rejected the Rosh. It's fine. But the Alter Rebbe who brought the Rosh, and he says that you have to be machshiv the Rosh as one of 3 shittas, the Rosh, the Geonim, and the Ritva. You can't ignore the Rosh. So according to the Rosh, this simon cannot be a true simon. The Chazon Ish himself is uncomfortable with the simon. This is not a Ferish Gemara. So if you take this the Rosh seriously, the simon is not a simon. So now, back to the chili pepper, the Alter Rebbe it's going to be worse according to the Alter Rebbe, the chili pepper, because it does last from year to year. So there is a chash arla. So I would say that he could grow it for decoration, but can't eat it. Very simple. Can't eat it. I would say, according to the Alter Rebbe. Now, according to the Chazon Ish, it's still a suffix because he's growing it in Melbourne, and he says it's growing, and it looks to him like it's already year 3, and it's still giving fruits. So if we get to year 4 and it's still giving chili pepper, the Chazon Ish will also say it's arla. So we have to wait one more year to find out that even the Chazon Ish is going to say it's arla. But the Alter Rebbe would definitely say that according to the Rosh, if you don't have to replant it and it gives the next year fruits, and by the way, it's not like the Iker dies. The Iker also stays. So according to the Alter Rebbe, also according to the Gaonim, this is a shaila, that this is a tree.
You wouldn't be allowed to eat marva and chutzart either. It's not something.
Orla b'chutzat is only if it's suffix. But if you're growing it in your backyard,
It's not something anymore. Nobody never grows more than 3 years.
oh, so you stretch it, you can a little bit stretch it, because you could stretch a little bit the thing like this. Because if you grew it 44 days before Tu B'Shvat, it's already and so theoretically you could you could always cook up a suffix that whatever.
It's a year and a half.
Yeah, what I'm eating here is from those. There was some Meshuggah farmer in Montana that by tree, not 44 days before Tu B'Shvat.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, I'm talking about trees.
Before
We're talking if it's a suffix that it's a tree. If it's not a tree, who cares?
But the peppers are grown on the vine also.
So this was his question. No.
Right.
So now. So now, here is. But I have to touch it and see it. If what's going to save the day, and that's
Chili pepper?
chili pepper. If he could, this is the maskana. If he could look, and Lanius Daiti, the way why that Israel really ate chatzlim is not because it didn't last more than 3 years. I think that the Alter Rebbe invented a second simon. He didn't invent it. He thought that's what the Rosh says. He thinks that's what Shechmar says. That anything that grows on Iker Arach is absolutely adoma. And I went here to New Jersey last year because I wanted to test a few things, and one of them was eggplants. So I touched the eggplant. It's Iker Arach. It's as rach as you get. It's Iker Arach, and the eggplants grows on the Iker Arach. So if I'm right, so the reason the Beis Yosef and the Rizaleit Chatzlim is because it grows in Iker Arach. So I said, if we could do the chili pepper that the Iker is so rach, similar to Chatzalim, then it's 100% Beire Pri Adama, and it's 100% a vegetable, and you have no problem whatsoever. So we have to figure out. The Rebbe said that story that he was once, he said it as a mashal, sounds a beautiful story. The Rebbe said that there's a Gevena Choshev Rabbi Rottenberg in Paris. He was once sitting in his house. A woman came in with a chicken. The Rebbe told it with glee. The Rebbe told the story. And there's still his descendants still have a hechsher. It's very Choshev, a Rottenberg hechsher. It's a Strasbourg, I think. There's some items that you buy here that.
He was in the old Paris.
Yeah.
He was in the old Paris.
Yeah. So the woman came in with a chicken, and she asked him if it's kosher or not kosher. It was a shayla or something.
Okay.
And he got very excited about the shayla because and he started saying that if you would say bazoy nazoy, we'll give en kosher, but if you would say nazoy nazoy, you'd be treif. And he got so excited, and he was saying, and he was talking to the Rebbe. It's a younger man. He was talking and learning. And the woman said, Rebbe, it's kosher or treif? The Rebbe told it as a washer once at a Fabrengen. They said, in the woman's mind, the shaila is kosher or treif. And then Rav Rottenberg, who was a Yida Talmid Chochem, it wasn't about the chicken. It was about the shach and the taz. Now we're going to figure out who's right, the shach or the taz. Because we're going to figure out now, because we're going to have to pass it. In his world, it wasn't about chicken soup. It was a shach and a taz. And the chicken was a hechetimtza. But the woman, the shach and the taz was the hechetimtza. The issue was the chicken. That was a mashal that was giving the same thing. You're learning a Torah. What is it? Okay. So anyway, my maskana today is that pineapples are 100% Beire Pri Adama. and therefore there's no arlo there. And but chili pepper, I'm still a little masupik. I have to figure out if they're growing in Ikerarach like Chatzalim, the 100% Adama, there's no arlo. Otherwise taka shaila, and you can't be makel besofik orlo if you're growing it in your own backyard. Okay, I want to quickly do, because we said we'll do 3 shilas. Someone called me up this week with a shaila. I like this. He's a kid, a younger man, a kid, and his uncle is badgering him. His uncle is upset that he's growing a beard. And his uncle told him there's 4 shittas and there's a
In style, man.
huh?
In style, man.
Well, so I told him. So he said his uncle wants to talk to me. He said 4 shittas, and so okay. So I just ashkofa thing that besides that, it's what you're saying is true, and the Eibishter helped. The Eibishter makes it easier for us. Some nisyonis, whatever. But I told him like this. He should tell his uncle like this. There is a product. There's a product. He could give an example. Red 5. Because someone talked to me about it. Red 5.
Drink.
No, I'll tell you more. My wife doesn't let me buy ices if it has red 5. You could buy I can't. If I bring it home, my wife will make me go back to the store, throw it in the garbage, or give it. She's not going to give it to the kids. There's a few mushagas in my wife. She will not let me put hot soup in a plastic plate, and she'll not let me serve the kids I could give a kid candy, no problem. But I can't have red 5. Okay.
What's red flag?
Red 5 is what makes the ices red. What makes it's food coloring.
Good color.
So my wife doesn't like it.
Some beets or something?
No, it's a chemical that either you kill mice with it or you give it to kids in their candy. One or the other. It's in the bottle. Then they decide what to use. I'm joking. I'm just saying. So okay. He should ask. Huh? It's kosher. Sure, it's kosher. But the question is if it's healthy. So now I said you should ask your uncle like this. I have red 5, and I have a product. In the European, there is a machloikis between 4 doctors. There is one doctor that says it's benign, the other one says it's dangerous, the other one says it's more dangerous, the other one says it's lethal. In Europe, it's illegal. In America, it's legal. And my wife says I shouldn't bring it into the house, but some doctors say it's legal in the USA. It's legal.
FDA
And the FDA does permit it. So what's the din? Should I? But my wife says that the doctors in Europe think it's lethal and it's deadly, and you shouldn't eat it, and therefore doesn't want me to bring it into the house. So which one should I do? Oh, very good. So very good. So I said, when your uncle will tell you that, you'll tell him that my wife is happy with my beard. So please, and you should know that it's a special bracha. You give him with tzarachim, and that's it. Anyway, one more thing. Someone asked punkt this month. What's this whole thing? We have. I was going to talk about it last week. That why do we do on Shabbos Mevorchim? We do Yechatcher Kodesh Baruch Aleinu. So it's brought in the Sefer Oiles Chodesh from Reb Meir Brechia, a simple svara. In the days that they did Kiddush Lavona, there was a mitzvah they have to announce that it's Mekudesh, and if it was the mitzvahs to announce it in front of people, to the extent that if the Edom didn't come and they needed to make it so that they would have there was a Sudas mitzvah called Sudas Kiddush HaChodesh, which was in the morning, right? So it was a whole thing, right? So it has to be done in public. So they couldn't do it before because they didn't know which day they're supposed to announce it in public. That's a chelik of the mitzvah is to announce in public that you should know that today is Rosh Chodesh. Now, in those, they can never announce it before ahead of time because how are they going to know? The Edom are going to come, the Edom are not going to come. So they can't announce. But Bisman